Right. So on Wednesday, I did a lateral flow test that came back as a negative result. On After that test, I then had a little nap for half an hour. Something I've had to have to do quite regularly because I got COVID back in January, and I suffer quite a lot with fatigue, so I generally have a nap in the afternoon for half an hour. I woke up from that nap on Wednesday feeling like I had a really bad cold that just came out of nowhere. In that half an hour of having a nap, I turned from being all right to feeling like crap. So because of the how I got COVID last time, I felt like it was a bad cold, and then I carried on working for a couple of days, and then decided actually this is feeling really bad, and I had a bit of a temperature at that point, and I took a test and I tested positive then. So this time around I was like, okay, this feels like a cold, but just to be on the safe side, I'll get a proper PCR test, and make sure that it isn't just a cold, or make sure that it is just a cold rather. So I had that test yesterday morning, which was Thursday. That result has come through today as a positive test result. So I've got COVID again. So in January I got COVID, and initial symptoms were a bad cold. Then I've been double jabbed. The last one was, I think, July. I think was my second one, or June. I tested negative on Wednesday afternoon for COVID. Didn't go anywhere. I had a half-hour nap, so I had no interaction with anybody. I live on my own, so I didn't go anywhere at all. Had a half-hour nap and woke up with COVID. So, do the lateral flow tests actually work? Am I just one of these rare people that just can't avoid catching COVID? But why was it not picked up by the lateral flow test? So what I'm going to do now that I've tested positive for COVID is I'm going to do another lateral flow test. So just in the interest of science, let's see where this goes. See if that comes back as a negative test. And if it does, then we're in the shit, because people are doing lateral flow tests and accepting that that's the result. But clearly something's not right if I've tested negative, had no interaction, then tested positive. So I've got my kit. I'm afraid you're going to have to watch me do this, because I want to make sure that, if it comes back as negative, I want it to be a proper test. People want, I want people to know that it's a proper test. So I've got my sealed swab, my little liquidy thing there. Look, that's all sealed. I've sealed one of those. And little cappy thing to put the what's it in. So put that in there. So there's the, I don't want this to be sort of, so there's the sealed what's it there. So I'm going to open my swab. Okay, so I'm going to stick it in the back of my throat, and then up my nose, and then in the bottle. You can see I've done this a few times, eh? Right, so this one, they recommend that you give it... Oh, my nose is tingling now. Give it a good kind of 6 turns or something. And then leave it for a minute. So I normally just count it. I'm trying to find a thing on there, but I can't. So we're just gonna... I just watched the clock on the... Oh dear, it got right on my nose. Just watching my clock on the video. Watch that tick by for a minute. It's a bit boring, isn't it? So there's that. Sorry, I was out of shot, but I haven't tampered with that at all. So I'm getting this here. Just trying to... So that's the slide all sealed up, ready to go. And there's a little nozzly thing to put on there. So just take my nozzle, get that ready. Right, it's just about coming up to a minute now. So we'll take this out. Dispose of that up there. Put this cap on. Right, let's open this up. Couple of drips. Okay, so now it's a bit of a waiting game to see what happens. I'm going to keep it in the shot because I just want to be sure that you guys see whatever the result this is going to be. So I don't know if I can get the angle right here. You can see actually that it's starting to, it is moving up towards the negative side. And actually, so that negative marker is starting to come up already. There's no sign of a positive marker, look. As you can see the negative one there. Just turn it that way, look. Don't know how clear that is. There's a negative one. So now I guess we've got to wait because they reckon that so that currently is coming up still as a negative test. Yeah, there's no evidence on that at the moment to suggest that I have COVID, but my PCR test says that I do. Now, I'm not gonna bore you for the next, I don't know how long did they say, 15 minutes or so to wait. I think let me just, I don't want to move, I want that to stay in shot, so try and prop that up a little bit if I can, so you can see that that's in shot still. Okay, so that's still there. I'm just going to have a look because it says like 15 minutes to... It does say here, a negative test result, however, is not a guarantee that you do not have COVID, or that you do not have coronavirus. So it's not really that helpful then, is it? Because people are taking negative tests, as I did, is proof that you don't have COVID. And in fact, you know, like when I go dancing, they want to see a negative lateral flow test result reported, which is what we're all doing before we dance. And well, that's not really that helpful when that's my negative flow test. That's my negative lateral flow test. I could go and do anything I want off the back of that because I've tested negative. But I'm going to bring me back in the shot now because you don't want to look at my belly. But I've clearly, I'll show. I can't show you my result. It's on my phone. But I've actually tested positive on a PCR test. Literally this morning, I had that notification saying that I've tested positive, and I'm now self-isolating for 10 days. And yeah, who knows where COVID's going to take me this time. It hit me quite hard last time, and it will probably hit me quite hard again this time. So people, I ditch these things. Don't ditch them. I don't know what to do. They're useless, clearly. Ditch it, don't ditch it. But I urge you, right, if you've got the symptoms of a cold, get a PCR test, regardless of what this thing says. Get yourself booked in for a PCR test, because there's no other way that we're going to beat COVID. I don't think on this planet ever we'll beat COVID. We just got to learn to live with it. But it's a nasty, nasty disease. And someone like myself with COPD is going to suffer with this. Now, I know, that there's, that people, myself as well, they go to work because they need to earn money to pay the bills. And you can't, I don't get sick pay unless I'm off for over 3 days. So if I'm feeling a bit crook one day, I'm just going to go like, it's just a cold. I'm going to go to work. And in that period of time that I'm at work with my just a cold, how many people have I passed on COVID to? Because clearly, sometimes that's how it manifests itself, is as just a cold. So if you've got a cold, despite what this thing says, get yourself tested, because this thing still says I'm negative, but my PCR test says that I'm positive. And it's just, we're never going to stop this. If people are going to continue, and I get it, right? I get bills need paying. I don't have, I totally get that. I lose a day's pay, and I'm, I'm struggling to pick that back up again for the weeks to come. But yeah, I think you've got to take the hit. If you can't, if you're feeling crap and you think it's just a cold, just be sure, just protect the rest of your colleagues and everyone else. And make sure that it is a cold. Get yourself a PCR test booked in, so you can make sure that it is just a cold. Because I know we had people at work recently that have not been feeling particularly well. You know, is that what do they have, just a cold? Who knows? My COVID didn't come from me just being in my room on Wednesday afternoon having a nap. There's not some COVID monster sleeping under my bed that just came out and went, "Ooh, you got COVID." Right, so take note, people. That's a negative test, right? And I have COVID. These are not gospel. Go with how you feel, and if you feel rubbish, get yourself a PCR test, and let's try and get a nail in the coffin of this coronavirus, because it's just going to get worse the nearer we get to Christmas. That's it. I'm done. I'm going to isolate for 10 days and yeah, get my PlayStation back out, go and kill nasty people, and I'll yeah, take care and see you soon. Bye.